welcome Helene Servillon from JourneyOne Ventures and Jessie Grundy, CEO of Peakz. Give them a warm round of applause to the stage.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Hello. Oh, yeah.
All right, Benzinga. Happy Wednesday, everybody. My name's Helene Servillon, and this is Jessie Grundy from Peakz. We're here to talk about his business as one of the champion social equity leaders in California. I do early stage investments at JourneyOne Ventures. We primarily focus on seed and Series A investments, and then I also do banking at Bowen, which is a growth investment bank out of Boston, and run their cannabis M&A practice in capital advisory. So, Jessie, is this your first time at Benzinga?
Yes, it is my first time.
What do you think about this crowd?
Yes, it's dope. It's dope. I'm glad I'm getting to speak today.
Okay, awesome. Well, all right. So tell me about your heritage story in getting into the cannabis industry, and we'll dance around in conversation from there.
Okay, that's fine. My cannabis journey really started when I was going to high school. I'm from Oakland, and my high school is on a big hill. So once you get up on there, you really can't leave. So I was kind of like the high school weed man. So I would wear a specific coat, and people would know when I wore that coat that I would have cannabis, and then I would sell it, go to class. And that's where I really learned like the cannabis trade. I would make up cool names for whatever I had, and I seen how people would really connect with it. So as I stopped doing that, I got older. I ended up seeing social equity was being brought into it. So I was like, why not? I know a lot about cannabis and I'm ambitious. And a lot of my friends were saying I couldn't do it. So that made me want to do it even more.
And what year was that?
That was 2018. Well, once I seen cannabis going legal in like around 2017, I knew that I had to get in there early. So 2018 is when I got my license.
I think we need to bring that coat back.
Yeah, the coat is actually at my mom's house, and it's like doesn't get touched. It's like a special coat.
So from a formal standpoint of working in the industry, when did you start Peakz? What's the heritage story? And tell us a little bit more about what Peakz is.
Yes, so Peakz is, I have my distribution license, so we're a distributor out in California, but we're mainly a brand. In the time I've been running Peakz since 2018, I've been in almost 200 different retailers, and for at least 4 of the 5 years, I handle all the distribution, the packaging, the labeling, social media, marketing, everything. So I really bootstrapped my company because at the time I had no investment until about last year. So everything was on me. And I didn't want to have employees and didn't know if I could pay them on time and, do it the correct way. So I put everything on me to grow, and in the hopes that somebody would take notice and end up investing in me. So yeah, I started in 2018.
That's an incredible track record. I mean, one-man show, doing everything from picking, packing, design to selling. And you said how many stores in California?
We've been in over 200, and usually like at the same time, usually around 50 stores.
Gotcha. So every social equity program, whether it's state or regional based, differs. Tell us about the specific license that you have in Oakland. What qualifies you as a social equity applicant?
Okay, so in Oakland, there's 2 different ways that you can be qualified for social equity. One way is to have a prior cannabis conviction, and the other way is to live in areas designated that were affected by the war on drugs. So I lived in those neighborhoods that was affected by the war on drugs, and so I was able to be able to get my license.
Gotcha. And what type of programs, benefits in terms of the social equity program in Oakland does that provide you as a business owner?
Well, the first thing was they provide grants and loans, which I think is a very big key to everything. Because it's great you can have a license, but if you don't have the funding, as we probably all know, you can't really get into the cannabis market, especially now. The barrier wasn't as high when I first came in 2018 because there was way less cannabis companies. But now I would definitely say that funding and having funds is super important. So I think that the city of Oakland does a great job at providing that.
Yeah. So there's a ton of investors in the crowd. Actually, I'm curious, raise your hand if you're an investor. All right. So these are all potential folks that can back you, Jesse. Let's talk to what their wants are. I'm curious about how you got connected to the parent co. Okay. For some of the people in the audience, maybe, if they're not as familiar with the parent co in California, let's do just like a quick level of like what they do and what led to your conversation about them investing, since you weren't really shopping around.
Yeah, so the parent company is the biggest California cannabis company. And they're, they're backed by Jay-Z. They have Troy as the CEO. I think I'm probably the biggest social equity brand. So I know they were on the hunt looking for different social equity brands, but they definitely wanted people who represent them and do good business and, that's profitable. And so they want a established company. So I guess they were searching and they ended up finding me. The person at that time was Eli, and he had DM'd me on Instagram, and I thought he was definitely fake. I ignored his DMs for weeks, and he kept hitting me. He was like, "Yeah, we got Jay-Z." I'm like, I know you're like playing with me. So eventually I had him send me his LinkedIn and a bunch of his like references, and I seen that he was legit. And from there we was in discussion, and we closed the deal, and I was their second investment with their social equity venture firm.
That's amazing. So with the parent co, they have a separate fund specific to social equity related investments. I believe it's 10 million.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and so you're one of two with Whitney Beatty, who will be here soon.
Yep.
I'm excited to see you, Whitney.
Yeah, I think she's back there.
And so I guess, from a different perspective, like the parent co is more of like a corporate venture arm. It's not like a separate investment fund. So they do have benefits that portfolio companies can access in terms of like shared resources. What are the shared resources that you get from working with the parent co?
There's different, like being up on this stage, different media opportunities. Anytime I need help, I definitely go to them. I have a lot of crazy ideas like NFTs and different things, and I bother them about that, but they always back me. So I just feel like I'm a creative and I'm really authentic to cannabis. So I bring that nature to the parent company. So I just think they really back me and support me because I'm not the usual brand that people will go to. I just feel like I'm so authentic and so from like the urban center. So I just think I bring a little something different to them and they bring a little something different to me because I don't have the corporate side. I don't come from that. I didn't go to college. I got my license by myself with no lawyer and different things like that. So I never had that side to back me or to learn from. So they're teaching me a lot of things that I never knew.
Yeah, I'm excited for Peakz and Jesse Grundy to be a different version of the parent co. Yeah. You'll build your empire. You're doing it now. So for people that are in the audience, we've talked a lot about your differentiation at Peakz, but what does that look like? Like, describe the vibe of the brand. Like, you do some really interesting collaborations.
Yeah. So I look at Peakz as a hip hop brand, a hip hop Web3 cannabis brand. I have a really extensive big following in the Web3 base, which is like NFTs, metaverse. I have a huge following in that. I also have a lot of friends who are hip hop artists because I'm kind of like the weed man in that industry. So we have multiple collabs. We got collabs coming with like Brent Faiyaz, Trina, Young Nudie. I got a whole bunch of people coming into the brand. And then also I have different collaborations with like my friends who have Bored Apes and Doodles and different things like that. So I'm just trying to bring in the young, hip, fun into cannabis because I know a lot of times it can seem like, we have to be a certain way. And I kind of don't want to fit any mold. I just want to do me. I just want to have fun with cannabis the same way I fell in love with cannabis. And I think that's what Peakz truly embodies. Just fun, urban, hip, cutting edge, trying different things that other people aren't trying, and eye-catching. I think that's what my brand is truly about.
I mean, I totally hear you loud and clear on that. I think in some of the emerging markets in the US, it's not that hard to sell weed yet. So when it comes to brand equity, it's oftentimes an afterthought. So having your background, the genuineness, like growing up in Oakland, like there's a lot that you bring to the table, and that's why consumers are attracted to you. So I'm curious, what does your business model look like in terms of how you're structured as a brand? Walk us through like your supply chain. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I work with about 3 or 4 different cultivations. So I'm really hands-on. I know what my market and what my consumers really like when it comes to genetics, taste, high potency, and different things like that. So I really curate all our menus to match stuff that I know our consumers will really want. So, the gelatos, any type of hype style genetics, I usually try to incorporate that into my brand. We have a really low overhead, so we only have a couple employees. We do everything in-house, design, marketing, delivery, everything is in-house. We just using the distribution license to its fullest extent. We have distributed for other companies, but truly it is our main source is white labeling and getting into these stores that I've been having connections with for the last 5 years.
Gotcha. That's incredible. So in terms of expansion, you're doing really well in California. There's definitely more stores you can get into, but not all stores are, made for every brand.
Yeah.
I think I'm always for go into the stores that make a lot of money for you and same store sales increase that versus try to go wide and sell to everybody and not do that well. What is your retail strategy look like in terms of the type of stores that do really well with your brand? Mm-hmm. And how do you think about expansion into other markets? Is it social equity driven? Is it partner driven? Like what type of partners are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely. As far as the stores I usually do my best in, they are usually in urban areas and big metropolitan areas. LA, Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, those are usually the cities that we really do well in, but we also do well in the Central California, Modestos and stuff like that, Stockton. I would think when it comes to expansion, I'm really looking to eventually license to other operators across the country because I have a very strong IP, being one of the first social equity companies. I've had so much different media I done did Forbes 3 times, Cheddar, really everything, BET, Fox. I've been everywhere.
Now Benzinga.
Yeah, I'm pretty good on the press side. So now it's time to take this IP and put it in other places that have nice metro areas from Nevada and Las Vegas. I want to get in New York, but I think licensing will really be a great thing for me because I look at the Cookies brand and what they've done with their licensing model, and I kind of want to replicate something like that because I could see a Peakz store, I could see a Peakz dispensary. I might not want to own it myself, but I can see the vision. So I think my IP is one of the things that make my company really, really strong. When people see the logo, they know what it is 9 times out of 10, especially if you're in the demographic that I'm targeting. Yeah. So if you're looking for somebody to get into that authentic, if you're in the urban city or anything like that, Peakz will always do good there because people want to support me because there's not a lot of people like me that's owner operators yeah.
Have you thought about what states you'd like to expand to? There's a bunch of people in the crowd that probably represent those states, so I'm trying to get some business going.
Definitely. Arizona's one that was probably the first talks I had, but I stopped those talks when I started talking to the parent company because I wanted to focus on one thing at one time because I'm a small we're small. But Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, New York, and Florida too. So places that have a nice demographic that I can target and I can expand my brand to.
So all solid rec markets, and then we've got the Florida medical massive market. So I guess in terms of relationship with the parent co and kind of moving outside of the California market, are you binded in any way, or could you have a relationship potentially with an MSO in the crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not binded. They want me to grow. They want me to expand. They want me to be as big as I can. That's a representation on them. That reflects on them. The parent company is very supportive of my brand and however I want to take it. They're never telling me, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. If anything, they're telling me, Jessie, you can do this. We want you to be the best you can. Go out there, find your funding, find the partners that will help you. So I'm not in anything binding, and I'm looking forward to talking to anybody who wants to talk about helping the Peakz expand and growing and becoming one of the best authentic brands it can be.
Awesome. And so I think, in regards to being a social equity licensee in Oakland, what do you think is important for people in the audience to know about being a social equity operator? And maybe there's misconceptions, and you're an amazing established entrepreneur. It's incredible what you've done by yourself and where you're headed. It's you just started. I think there's important to break some of the stigmas of how we think about them, especially from an investment opportunity.
Definitely. I think social equity definitely helped me, and it gave me a platform to speak on things. And if there was no social equity, I probably would not have been able to get my license. And I think probably almost everybody who entered through social equity probably would say the same thing. So I think it's something that's definitely should be replicated in all different states. And I think it really taught me every aspect of cannabis, because there was nights I had to package everything, sleep in my distro. Then when I wake up, had to deliver it. I've had to do my own metrics, my own invoices, talking to everybody. So I think social equity have taught us how to be to take on every role in cannabis. So I think it's very important, and it gives you a launching pad. And then after you get that launching pad, it's up to you how far you can take it.
Yeah, that's kudos to you. I've been there in a different light. So I'm curious, from an operations standpoint, what are the different tools that you use to streamline, what you do for inventory management? You talked about metric, let's get into the nitty gritty of how you run the show.
I truly just don't sleep. I really just work every day. Inventory. I have people who handle different things. So I have people who do my inventory. I have my assistant. She handles all my emails and all my keeping me up to date with what meetings I have and different things like that. I still handle my own metric because I'm just very hands-on. I still handle all my designs. I do all the packaging. I do all the designs myself. But I have my own delivery drivers now. My own packagers and different things like that. So I've really streamlined it. I kept the low overhead model, and we're just a really small knit but very hungry group. I made sure everybody I brought on had the same vision as me and really cared about the brand and wanted to see it succeed. I think that's how I really streamlined it. Make sure I'm hiring people who really want to be there.
And how big is your team now?
7 to 10 people, I believe.
That's
and every year we did over $1 million in revenue. I think I'm the only social equity brand to do 7 figures. We're doing really good.
I got golf claps for you. All right, I know we have a minute left or so, right, Elliot? Would love for anybody to chime in with some questions. Do we have anybody? I can't see that much with the light, but all right. So the question is, this woman is from Virginia, an emerging cannabis market, and she wanted to know, what is the strategy behind your thought on expansion into other states? What are the characteristics of the state or of the market dynamics that speak to you?
It's really, I just want a strong urban market because I know what my demographic is, and I know the people who I touch and the people who look up to me are usually Black and brown or minority people, women in metropolitan areas. So I truly try to look if I'm going to expand, do they have those big cities who will vibe with my product? That's what I truly go off of, because I could go into every state, but every state I might not be not even accepted. I might not do as well. And I want to do well in everything I do. So I'm truly going after people who like hip hop, who watch these different programs that I'm watching, the Breakfast Club and different things like that. I'm going towards a market of people who look like me, and I want them to go into a store and be able to buy something that from a person that looks like them, because I know representation is huge. We can see it with like the Black Panther movie, how we all come out. We like, oh, we got a superhero. So I'm trying to bring that type of superhero vibe to these markets so they can see, oh, we are represented. I could buy this and this person looks like me, and I could show like, oh, we can do this. Because a lot of times we feel like we can't get into cannabis because of the barriers and the high pricing and all the legalization and the regulatory issues. So I just want to be in markets that I can give hope to, truly.
Representation matters, and Jessie is killing it. Unfortunately, we have, but you can talk to Jessie after this.
Yes.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us, and thanks to Jessie for killing it.
Thank you.
Big round of applause. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Helene. Fantastic discussion.